A nightmare. This story was sent to us by one of our customers, Richa, and it is accompanied by based on a true incident. Richa. Archit and Ankit lived in an army cantonment area many years ago and they studied together in army school. Hey, who is getting into the car? There is a big crowd behind that cantonment area. There was a very small field behind which there was a forest spread far and wide. Children were not allowed to go in that forest at all. There was a rumor that lions and wild animals roamed in the jungle. Some people even said that a witch lived in the forest. But one evening, without informing their parents, all three of them set out towards the forest under the guise of mischief. They knew about lions and wild animals, but every child feels that they have superpowers and in their own world. All three of them also set out towards the forest. From evening, it gradually became dark as night. Disha was scared of the darkness, but still the three of them kept moving ahead. Risha had been feeling nervous in the dark since childhood, and so she started talking about going back home. She was convincing her friends when they heard the roar of a lion. Everyone's hair stood on end. Disha looked back in fear and there was no lion, but an old woman was standing in front of them. Her face was not visible properly in the dark, but a big scar of a wound was definitely visible on her cheek. She was wearing a black gown, along with her black dress. The eyes of that woman were very scary and she was staring at those children. She told all the children straight away that this jungle is not for them and only that woman and her pets live there. She asked those children to return home and advised them to never come to this jungle. That old woman standing in the darkness of the moon was looking no less than a dreaded witch. All the three were listening to that woman in fear when suddenly screams of wild animals started coming from every corner of the jungle. It seemed as if that old woman was controlling them all. Out of the three, both Ankit and Archit started getting very scared. In fact, Ankit started crying out of fear. After which the woman pacified them both and gave them a handful of toffees. Although all three of them knew that one should not take anything from strangers, but in that silence, no one could refuse that scary old woman. The old woman gave toffees to Ankit and Archit, but Risha did not get any of them. Risha saw that there was a strange anger on the face of that woman for her. She was looking at everyone with her sharp eyes. Meanwhile, the three of them started going back to their house. They were just passing by that woman when that woman caught Archit's hand. She looked into the eyes of all three and said, "Don't sleep in the darkness of the jungle today even by mistake." These words had created a panic inside Risha. Friends, recently we did a very special shoot with the cast of Chori 2. Soha Ali Khan and Nusrat Baruka. Amazing Horror podcast has been done by Soha Nusrat and the director of the film Vishal, who have shared scary stories of their real-life experiences. It is a very interesting podcast. So if you haven't watched that podcast yet, then after this video, go quickly and watch that podcast. Pin the link of the podcast in the comment. When Ankit, scared, asked the old woman the reason for her saying so, the old woman gave a frightening smile and then said that if you sleep today, all your scary dreams will come true. Saying this, she left Archit's hand and all three of them started running back to their house like mad horses. While running, Richa heard the sound of animals running behind her. It seemed as if the pets of that woman were running behind them. Richa just wanted to reach her home as soon as possible. All three of them reached their house quickly and forgot this incident, considering it a mistake. Since Richa had an exam the next day, she went to sleep on her bed, but the scary voice of that woman, her mud-made hands, long nails and cut cheek were not getting out of her mind, as if that old woman was running behind her. The woman had said that as soon as she fell asleep, Richa had a dream. It was her most frightening dream. It was raining heavily. Richa was sitting in a car and going away from her parents as if she would never be able to meet them again. Her mother was crying bitterly in a red sari and her father was standing in a shirt and trousers, whose eyes were also dripping with tears. When the car went away, Richa turned back and tried to see her parents. Someone else was also standing behind them. The shocking thing was that the same old woman was standing there with the same horrifying smile on her face. She was also waving her hand towards her. While seeing this dream, Richa started to struggle loudly on her bed. Then the speed of the car suddenly increased and she looked ahead due to the darkness. She saw that her parents were also driving the car, crying on the front seat, and the same woman was sitting beside her and staring at her with her frightening eyes. The speed of the car suddenly increased so much that it went out of control and fell into the ditch. And then Richa opened her eyes. Thinking it to be a bad dream, Nisha had really made a big mistake by sleeping that day. After the school exams, her father decided to send his daughter to her grandmother's house to shift to Meerut. The next day, Richa was getting into the car to leave when she saw her same scary dream coming true. That day, her mother was wearing a red sari and her father was wearing the same shirt and t-shirt. Both of them were crying just like in Richa's dream. When Richa tried to look back, her hands and feet started to shake. Everything was happening just like in her dream. Just like in her dream. The same old woman was standing right behind her parents, whom they had met in the jungle, and she was smiling at Richa in the same scary way, but this time when Richa's car picked up speed. It did not fall into any ditch and neither did any accident happen after that. After 10 days, Richa came to know from her parents that Archit's mother had died in an accident. Richa was too young then to understand all this and with time, she forgot about it. But after a few years she came back to her city and met her old friends. Then Archit told her that the night when Richa had that scary dream, he too had seen a bad dream. Archit had seen his mother dying in a car accident in his dream, which came true after 10 days. But nothing like this happened with Ankit because Ankit did not sleep that night. Richa had started understanding everything little by little. She started remembering the words of that old woman who had forbidden them to sleep that night. Trisha's terrible dream did not happen in reality because maybe she had not eaten the toffee given by that woman that day, but she was completely convinced that all this was done by the same witch. From that day onwards, that old woman started seeing Richa in her dreams again. Today Richa is 20 years old, but whenever that woman sees her in her dreams, something very bad almost happens in Richa's life. Richa still remembers that old woman. That Maya did not understand. Did you understand who that old woman was?